Rivers State had 14,000 of them stolen, while 1,300 recovered, according to the commission, INEC, in Rivers State. But after Rivers State, we also do have Edo State. Edo State had 3,661 permanent voter cards were stolen, but of that figure, 983 eventually recovered, at least so says the resident electoral commissioner in Edo State. So all of those figures about who did what and those who will be able to vote, now that's concerning what transpired. But that wasn't all. In Zamfara, remember they talked about, the IGP made a statement of how they intend to ensure that no card reader is snatched. The thing is, there's been an incident of that, an unfortunate incident as a matter of fact, where a card reader was snatched in Zamfara State. But we'll keep our ears close to the ground and see what happens eventually if they're able to recover it. But you know, a lot has happened within that 6-week window. This is the last of that 6 before the big weekend. Well, here now are some of the comments which made the round at that time from different security quarters for these elections. Let's take a look. So there you go. It turns out that it's not ready now, but let's go ahead and join. I guess we'll bring you all of those comments in the course of the program in here today. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Good evening. Thank you.
About our preparations for these elections, INEC has come forward. We've just seen an analysis of the distribution of the permanent voter cards. We have also seen those who will be able to vote. Let me start from Ogun State Chief Mustafa. I mean, you must have been concerned when those figures were read. What's your impression of what went down?
I really can't say I really can't put my finger on it, because it's very, very sad with all the effort that our governor put into it to ensure that these things happened. And I may want to say, I may be wrong if I say that maybe it was sabotage, because why would Ogun State record such low level of production of PVCs? It's very sad. I mean, I'd gone with my governor on 2 occasions to the INEC office. He was very passionate about it. He had been planning to give work-free day for the last maybe 3-4 weeks for people to go out and collect the PVCs, but they were not there. And then why Ogun State? Is there any plan to disenfranchise Ogun State? Is it because some people somewhere believe that Ogun State people are going to vote in a particular direction and they thought, okay, let's reduce the number of votes coming out of there? I mean, it's just anybody's whatever.
Even though the chairman of the commission says no such thing and that they've been able to go ahead and do the best that they can. But remember, it was while all this went on, when the governor did say, before this deadline extension, that they were going to seek for an extension. And thereafter, they had this extension, but you still had some improvement from less than 40 to 61. But that's not enough, you say?
Of course it's not enough. It's not enough because in politics and in elections, every single vote counts. You can lose an election with 2 or 3 votes. In 1999, in the local government in Ogun State, a chairmanship candidate of a party of AD won election with 7 votes. And he had a hung parliament in the council because they split the councillors 5 each way. So every single vote means a lot, and every single vote must count.
All right, Prof, what's your impression of our preparations?
Well, I think what's and all will just say kudos to INEC for improving on what will have been on the 14th of February. I think Nigerian democracy is still a work in progress. And so there will be rough edges here and there. So that's why I think we have to be appreciative of the effort of INEC to ensure that at least we meet a relative percentage of the voting population. 100% is difficult to meet, but what I've seen you narrate, so far so good, if you ask me. This is not in heaven. It's happening in Nigeria. And Nigeria is not the most conducive environment to get things done. You remember the coach that said we fumble and wumble. In most things, in most departments of human endeavor, Nigeria scarcely makes it. So I'm not really surprised that at the end of the day, all we could attain was about 80%. But that's a fair mark for Nigeria, if you ask me.
Let me get to Odenta. Odenta, he joins us via Skype in Abuja. Over 80%. That's a pass mark too, isn't it?
Well, apart from the state, I want to iterate some of the situations across the country. Your state, if some of the reports I read today, were to be correct, a whole lot of protests across some local government areas about people very eager, very willing to collect their PVCs. But these PVCs were not available. Yes, I associate myself with Prof that Nigerian democracy is work in progress. But I'm happy that 20-something of March, we are still debating the efficiency of the mechanisms and the procedures put in place by INEC for an election that ought to have taken place 14 February. I've said Chamberlain on this particular studio and program. It is plain and it is clear and it is empirically verifiable that INEC was not ready for election on 14 February. The extension afforded the time for them to fine-tune some of their operational strategies and the mechanisms to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. Yes, movement from 50-60% as it was then to 81% is encouraging. But at the same time, I did hear the chairman of INEC, if I'm wrong correctly, did say that even though officially the regular conventional collection may have ended, somehow a mechanism may be put in place where people could still collect their PVCs even on election day at the polling stations. This is something Republic Enlightenment could shed more light on, but I did hear him make that comment, or some other top officials of INEC, that the window is not closed permanently, because a good state picture is a little bit worrisome. And my good friend Bode Mustafa, very careful with the way he nuances his expressions. I do not think this matter has to do with the combatants, the gladiators in the field. That has to do with the efficiency of the electoral body.
Okay, we'll pick up on that point about picking up otherwise the permanent voter cards, even after the closure, perhaps even on election day. That will be when we return from the break in just a moment. Please join us again.